Wow, let's talk about that ending, shall we? Where do I even start? So I saw articles all over Facebook saying a whole bunch of characters are going to die in tonight's episode, and it seemed like this was going to be a heart wrenching episode. And for the most part, it was just the fair and all that good stuff going on, everyone reuniting and everyone being together. And they did tease something going on with the Whisperers and Beta, in the teaser for this episode. But everything seemed to be going smooth, although most people knew that something was going down. This is another situation where they stray way too far away from the source material, the comic material, and well, they did that from the get go by killing off Carl, which was a huge thing, and Andrew Lincoln is gone, which is of no control of them. He just decided to leave the show. Um, so the show's obviously been dipping in quality lately. I wouldn't say this is the worst season of the show. I still think that goes to season 4. To be honest with you, I still think season 4 was an awful season. The second half of season 4, especially, was just so bad and so hard to watch. I think the worst time period to ever be a Walking Dead fan was the second half of season 4 and the first half of season 5 with that hospital arc. Remember with Beth and that whole thing, and they were building up Beth and doing character development only for her to just be killed off. And that's the thing that pisses me off. It's like you build up all this character development just to kill these characters in the end, so it doesn't really lead to anything. And that's really how you know that they're going to kill the character off, because you build the characters up so much so you actually care about it when they die, but then they die, so it's like, what was the whole point of giving them all the screen time if you're just going to kill them off? I understand the whole premise of the show is that anybody can die, no matter you never know who's gonna die and who's gonna be gone. Like for Rick and Carl, those were two biggest ones. But we had a few big deaths tonight. Let's go over all the deaths. I love how they did it. By the way, I got to give all the credit in the world to Angela Kang and to just the way that they shot it, because The Walking Dead is always known for having very good filmmaking techniques. And tonight's episode was probably some of the best work they've ever done in all 9 seasons. And again, this is coming from someone who really hasn't been a fan of the show as of late. But I do think that what they did was pretty good. So, where do we begin? So they killed off those what were they called? The Highwaymen. So what they were doing is that they went off like on the screen. Sadiq was hurt. Okay, let's start off with that. Beta let go of Daryl, Carol, Michonne, and Yumi. They were all let go because they were kidnapped, and because they were trying to fight them off, and it was a trap. So they were fighting off all these walkers, and it was a trap by the Whisperers. And I thought, I heard a whole bunch of characters were gonna die, so I thought they were gonna go bold and just let's kill Carol, let's kill Daryl. Let's kill Michonne, because Michonne was leaving the show anyway, so I'm like, okay, that makes the most sense. But no, they were all spared. Only for Alpha to have infiltrated the kingdom and that fair. She was the one with the blonde hair and that hat, because she was in disguise as that person. I forget what her name was, but she was killed. And they pretty much went through her whole life in the hilltop, and it was kind of sad. I'm like, oh yeah, this person's definitely dead. And surely enough, Alpha killed her, and the Whisperers killed her, and she used her hair and her hat and her outfit to infiltrate the group and get information, and to also ambush a few of them and kill them off. So here's a group. So all their heads were put on a pike, and this in the source comic material, I believe it was, who was it? I think it was Ezekiel was killed. Rosita was killed. And I think I forget who else was killed, but a couple other was killed. So the same thing that happened here happened in the comic books, except those were completely different characters than what they went for. So they had the Highwaymen, those guys in the cowboy hats that helped out, and it started off with them, and then it went one by one, and then it showed, and then it went back to a scene with the hill back at the kingdom, rather. Where the fair was going on, and Lydia was saying, like, my mom was here, because the mom was, like, sitting next to Lydia. Alpha was sitting next to Lydia, and as soon as Alpha left, Lydia went right to Ezekiel and said, like, my mother was here, and all these people are missing. And they went by, Alden was, singing a thing with Luke, and then it went to Enid. Her head was on a pike. And then it went to, of course, I'm not in complete order, but, first they started off with these insignificant characters that really didn't matter. Like, I forget the names of all of them. Like, I think, so that old, what was her name? Tammy Rose, right? The old lady. So she was killed, and then, those kids were killed, and it kept going back and forth. And then, like I said, Enid, and then people didn't know where Tara was, and they showed Tara's head in the pike. And then, I guess the biggest death, because they've been building Henry up to be the replacement of Carl, he was killed off. And it went completely full circle. I love what they did. Daryl holding back Carol, crying because Henry was gone. It just went completely full circle from season 2. And that barn scene when Daryl was holding back Carol, when Sophia was killed. And ironically enough, the actors that play Sophia and Henry are real life siblings. So I think what they did was just brilliant, and I have all the praise in the world for what they did in that episode, and the way that they did it, the way they revealed it. And I think it's probably some of the best stuff we've seen in the entire show. And again, these are characters that Tara's been around for years. Henry is relatively new, but they've been building him up for the past couple seasons. I'm glad that Ezekiel's still alive. I'm glad that Rosita's still alive, because I still feel like they have more story to tell with those characters. So I think the right people died at the right time. I'm not necessarily... I'm not going to miss Tara too much, because I thought she was just kind of like a filler character from the very beginning. I'm surprised she even lasted this long. And then, I mean, Henry, I thought he was okay. I think people were kind of giving him too much of a hard time just because they missed Carl. But the old lady and the kids, and oh yeah, Enid, I kind of felt like Enid kind of lost her... She was kind of marked for death ever since Carl was killed off. She kind of lost her purpose. I thought Alden was going to get killed, and I thought Enid was going to stay alive. I thought Siddiq was going to get killed, actually, because they were building Enid up to be like the next Doctor, because you can't really have two doctors in the same show. you can only have one Doctor. You ever notice that about The Walking Dead? So I thought they were going to kill Siddiq and Enid was going to take Siddiq's place. But no, Siddiq survives and Enid dies. And that death actually surprised me the most. And I am glad they strayed away from the source comic material, because people are like, they're not following the comics. But like, if they follow the comics, then you just pretty much have spoilers all the time. You always know what's going to happen. So I'm glad that they did what they did. I think it was really good what they did. With they killed off the right people, and the way that they built it up throughout the episode was absolutely brilliant, and I think it was great. I think it was amazing. So I'm looking forward to episode 16. Maybe Negan's gonna get out again, and he's going to kill off Alpha. Maybe. I think that's something from the source material I would like to see again, but we'll see. I think what they might do is that Beta might get killed first, because they do like to stray away from the comics. So maybe Negan kills Beta. That would be pretty alpha of Negan. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm looking forward to the season finale. And let me know what you guys think about this current episode.